Um, how do you do successful money spells and good luck spells? So, we're an interfaith and intercultural center, and each of our founders and each of our volunteers believes differently. And I've reached out to our founders and our volunteers and our other instructors. And when I've been answering these questions on Tumblr or in emails, I have been trying to provide as many different perspectives as possible. Now, when we're doing the Ask a Witch classes, generally I answer and Ian answers. But on this one, I actually got a chance to sort of reach out to a bunch of our volunteers and a bunch of our other instructors, and we got multiple answers on it. So, I made a promise to never do spells to bring myself money. One of my teachers, basically said, like, I won't teach you how to do certain things unless you swear that you will never do them for you, that you will only do them to help other people. And I made that promise. And I'm not going to say I've never broken a promise, because I'm human and I make mistakes and I do fuck up, and with all my memory training I do forget things. But that was a big foundational promise for me. And so long as I practice the spells she taught me and walk the path that she instructed me on, I'm going to keep my promises to her as best I can. So I can't do spells to bring myself money. However, I do spells for prosperity and stability. I also don't do good luck spells. One of the cultures I grew up in has a concept of like being charismatic to spirits and the powers that be, that would help you do good things. Like, basically they watch you behave in a good and honorable fashion, and they're like, oh, I want you to continue behaving in a good and honorable fashion, so I'm going to help you. Now, we also believe that there are forces that are like, oh, you're behaving in a good and honorable fashion, I don't want you doing that because you're helping people that I want to suffer, or you're you think you're a good person and that makes me mad, or whatever. So there's a danger in being charismatic, because it'll also attract opposing forces. But anyway, the whole point is, rather than believing in good luck...
Right, the spell for good luck is to live well.
Yeah, the spell for good luck is to live your life in an honorable way, and that should attract good things to you. It also attracts bad things, so yeah, whatever. Ian, who is Jewish and practices a combination of Kabbalistic mysticism and chaos magic, doesn't do money or good luck spells so much as he works to influence probability in his favor by altering reality. Do you want to talk on that at all before I move into the other ones people shared with me?
I mean, I can. Okay, let's talk about prosperity first. Actually, let's let's talk about just what that means. By and large, the reasons that you want money or luck is so that something that you want comes about, or something that you're worried about doesn't. And rather than putting in the middle of I'm going to be more prosperous, or I'm going to be more lucky, I just go for what the actual objective is, and then basically there is, for any given outcome, there is a possibility, however small, that that is what is going to occur. Aim for that possibility. And essentially, if you do it correctly, reality will be reshaped as you go, so that the path that gets taken to that outcome is always the one that would have led there. This is not 100% reliable. The bigger the change, the bigger sort of the change from the default expected value, the more difficult it is, the more energy it takes, the more variables there are that you're trying to control, and the more likely it is that something will go spectacularly wrong. There's a reason that I have so many stories about things going spectacularly wrong. Part of it is because the way that I do this type of magic has the intrinsic risk that reality is going to go sideways on me in the middle of what I'm doing, which is part of why I generally don't do this for things like making a bunch of money at a casino. Is it possible? In theory, yeah. In practice,
I mean, it's really hard to play poker against Ian, and I say this as someone who partially paid for college by playing poker and pool. Ian is the only person I've ever known that just like probability is like mush. Like you cannot fucking card count with Ian around because what comes up makes no sense.
Antoinette, kind of. It's more that all possible outcomes exist as a simultaneous. They all exist simultaneously, and there's a probability distribution that does not sum to one of what's going to happen, of which outcome is going to occur. And it's basically a question of aiming for the point on the probability distribution that represents the outcome that you want. And then by the time you get there, the probability function collapses, and there's only one outcome. As far as whether all of the other ones are also simultaneously occurring in parallel, that's getting into a level of cosmology that I don't feel like is necessarily relevant to the question that was asked.
You should do some more classes on how you
But
do.
I can talk about how my method works. The short answer is, if you don't clean up, yes. In fact, if you don't clean up, it shatters in such a way that I start sliding back and forth between the different parallels, and it's really fucking trippy. Although I also
like the shirt thing that happened with you.
It was weird.
Yeah.
Although I actually also take shameless advantage of that on occasion. So what I actually did, the actual mechanisms behind the ring trick, is to have retroactively done something similar in a way that I didn't clean up and then slide sideways.
Okay. All right. So, one of our volunteers practices a form of Southern folk magic that is based in a blending of French, Germanic, and English colonial ideology that you find in like New Orleans. And he has tried over his life to separate out as much as possible of what gets incorporated into Southern folk magic from the African enforced diaspora from slavery and the South American enforced diaspora through slavery and the appropriation of Native American culture and South American Native culture. Basically, he said in New Orleans, it is very, very hard to practice Southern folk magic that is not stealing from oppressed and marginalized minorities in the area. And he really, really dislikes someone named Christian Day in that area.
In fairness, a lot of people
And has been really working on building a system that is not appropriative and does allow him to practice from his own blended cultural background, which happens to be French and Germanic and Catholic. Now, his Southern folk magic does do money and good luck spells. His advice was that you don't use fool's gold in money spells. It really, really bothers him when people use pyrite.
Because it's fool's
Right.
gold.
He says it's
false wealth.
fool's gold and it will draw to you false wealth. He has the same problem, he said, with people who wear the foil coin belts at Mardi Gras and like dance in them to draw wealth to themselves. He said basically like that doesn't make any sense to him. They're foil coins. They're not real. It's not going to bring you any money. So when he uses good luck spells, he always uses real money. However, he also said that he's observed that wealth spells always call for very expensive ingredients, things that are in some cases more precious than gold, you know, like black amber and frankincense and myrrh. And he's like, that's cool, I get it, like I understand why you're using pearls and gold to bring yourself wealth, but if you're poor you can't afford that shit. So he uses things like bay leaves, which he writes what he wants on the bay leaf. He eats a lot of things that he says bring him good luck, so like black-eyed peas, soup with bay leaves in it. He carries the bay leaf around in his wallet, and he has built a shrine to the archetype of Lady Luck. And he brings Lady Luck his spare change. He brings quarters and pennies and things, and has found that over time, sometimes he'll just like randomly realize that he pinned a 20 there when he was drunk, right when he really needs a 20. He also uses, I don't know if he's out. I'll ask.
Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about.
So he also uses what he calls card magic, which is from like a deck, a French deck of playing cards.
Right.
It's like a vintage French deck of playing cards.
It's really cool looking. It doesn't have the numbers
Yeah.
on it.
And he uses the Queen of Diamonds as like a drawing money to him. And he builds something called a money jar using his Queen of Diamonds.
Also sounds way more like Gambit than he has any right to.
Yeah, he also likes whiskey in his magic, and taught me how to make a Creole Manhattan, which is now my absolute favorite drink of all times. Like, wow, they're amazing. Okay, so moving right along. One of our volunteers who is an atheist says that money and good luck spells don't work by bringing money or good luck, but they may make you more confident and self-assured and better at putting your best foot forward in something like a job interview or an application. He said basically that he doesn't believe that those things work as anything beyond sort of mental programming. Like you have done something, so your brain, instead of freaking out at you and telling you that like you're not gonna succeed, you're such a mess, you haven't done anything to fix this problem, your brain goes, hey, we did a thing to fix the problem, so now we're a little more assured of ourselves.
And this is a psychological effect that has been measured and works.
Yeah. One of our volunteers, who is a pantheistic spiritual mystic, that is how she described it, and then we kind of teased her. We're like, it rhymes, and she was like, does that mean it's bad? And we're like, no, that's awesome. Like, pantheistic spiritual mystic, that's cool. It sounds like something out of a Neil Gaiman book.
Or possibly Mary Poppins.
Right. Says her magic is based on combining intention and attention in a focused way. So she uses whatever tools in your brain, like whatever means to you wealth, whatever means to you good luck, whatever means to you prosperity, stability, and then you sit and you concentrate and you focus around that symbol. You treat it as your focus, and you sort of meditate and affirm around it. And she says it only works if it's something that like means good luck to you. It can't just mean good luck to somebody else. It can't just mean money to you. She also suggested that for good luck spells, if you do good for others, that brings abundance for everyone, and that if everybody did good for others, everyone would be abundant. So, and she wanted me to include that.
Okay.
One of our volunteers, who works very closely with the Morrigan, says they do stability spells and spells for the inner strength to push through challenges that affect their prosperity and stability. They ask for help from a god to find their strength, and then they offer a blood or work sacrifice in exchange for the assistance. Sorry, our guard puppy is very you go stir the soup or paused? Sorry. One of our volunteers who is building their own system of magic out of millennial and online culture says to just make sure that you also back up your money spell or good luck spell with real world action so that the magic has an avenue via which to act in your benefit. She said basically that if you do a spell to bring yourself a job, but you don't fill out an application, the magic has no means via which to act in your benefit. Now, this person also likes to do emoji spells and shared with me that sometimes before they go to do something to bring themselves money, because they basically do a lot of side hustles. They don't have like a full-time job. They have lots of little jobs. They send themselves emojis that represent like wealth and prosperity and stability to themselves. And they're like, money and dollar signs and thumbs up, and basically that was one of the ways that they send themselves the good luck spell. And I was like, hey, cool. I can't figure out emojis at all, but I'm glad that works for you. So as we answer these questions, if I can't get the other people to actually be in this chair, I will at least try and bring you their perspectives as much as I can.